Okay, we're here on Tuesday's lesson now, and our learning today is to recognise and apply the features of a persuasive text. So we're going to be looking at persuasive text. We're going to make a leaflet, like I said yesterday, selling your home as the ideal lockdown location. It's best to use your own home because you know it really well, but if you would like to do an inventive home and create your own, maybe have a look at rightmove.co.uk and have a look at the houses on there and find one and pretend that you've experienced lockdown there, you can. But if you just want to use your own, that would probably be easiest because you'd have to do any extra research that way. But if you would like to use a fictional home, that is fine as well. So persuasive writing, we're going to be looking at leaflets, and they are there to present information in quite a brief way. So they're quite short. They are often used to advertise, and which is what we're doing. We're sort of advertising our home as that perfect lockdown location. And it might have illustrations, images to draw people's eye in. It might have big bold headings with catchy headings, quite often alliteration in the title. Lots of different ways of presenting it. So you might have some bullet points in there. You might have a little chart or a graph in there. You might have a map on the back. Often there's a large map or a layout or a floor plan or something like that, some sort of bigger illustration on the back. Thinking about the sort of leaflets you might look at, like a zoo or a theme park. Often there's lots of persuasive material on one side, and then on the reverse might be the map of the zoo or the map of the theme park. And then you really want to make sure they've got all the information they need about your home being that perfect lockdown location. And we're going to use the acronym AFOREST, which stands for alliteration, facts, opinion, rhetorical questions, emotive language, and statistics, and 3, the rule of. These are the features that we're going to be really working with this week. So what do these terms mean? I want you to pause this lesson, this video for a second, for about a minute or two, and just have a little think and just double check your own understanding of these phrases, and then come back and we'll go through them all together. Okay, so hopefully you've paused me and you're having had a little thought about those meanings of these words. So alliteration. Alliteration is when you have a sequence of words that all start with the same sound. So they might be 2 or 3 or more words that all start with the same sound, such as a lucky, lovely llama is on the loose in Bristol. Or it might be a happy hippo hopping in the river. So it's that same sound at the start. It doesn't have to be the same letter, so it could be C and a K if they both have that same. So it might be a kicking clock, for example, and kicking starts with K and clock starts with C, but they're still alliteration. Facts. Facts are statements which are true. So it's just a bare fact, a truthful statement, a truthful thing. I have brown hair is a fact. Okay, so it doesn't have to be glamorous or fancy, it just has to be truthful. Opinion is something that you believe and you think. It is completely subjective. Your opinion might be completely different to the person next to you. You might think that Bristol is the best place in the world to live. Somebody else might think something different. Maybe they live somewhere different and they think that place is the best place in the world to live. You might think a certain football team is the best football team in the world, but somebody else might have a completely different opinion. So it's subjective. It doesn't have to be the same as what other people think. Rhetorical questions are questions that don't really need an answer. They're written to an empty space almost. Are you listening? Doesn't really need an answer. When a teacher's sort of in a classroom and they say, are you listening? They're not expecting everybody to say yes. They're just expecting everybody to sort of prick up their ears. Or you might have it in a book that you're reading. And obviously you can't answer the question because the author isn't there reading that book to you. So you have to answer it in your head. So it's a rhetorical question is getting you to engage your brain and get you thinking about what the answer might be, and getting you to engage with the piece of writing and the text to start thinking about what the answer might be, and to sort of create a conversation with it as a reader. Emotive language is thinking about the word emotional. It's to create an emotional response. It's to make somebody feel sorry for you, or sad, or happy, or make somebody feel an emotion when they read it. So it comes in sort of phrases. So we'll talk about it a bit more when we go through and do them in a moment. So I'll come back to that one. Statistics. So statistics are bits of information numbers wise. So it might be a percentage, it might be a fraction, it might be a number. So you might have 4 people living in your household, for example, and you might say in yours, 3 out of 4 residents of this delightful dwelling have enjoyed their experience immensely. You might say 100% of the people living in this lockdown house right now have enjoyed every moment. Or you might say of the 5 residents in the home, 4 of whom have found it tolerable. So it's a numerical statistic. It's a numerical piece of information, and it doesn't have to be truthful in this instance because we're doing it's a fictional piece of writing, really. It's a persuasive fictional piece. So you could link it to your facts, but what we're doing is a piece of fictional persuasive writing, so it doesn't have to be absolutely factual in this instance. And 3, the rule of 3, is about listing things in 3s, or providing 3 examples of something to really hammer home your point. It might be, we have this, this, and this available in our home, or you might give 3 adjectives to describe something. So it's kind of really punching home what you're saying using 3, using the power of 3. And again, I'll come to that when we give our examples. So the next thing I want you to do is to make a mind map of the features in your home. So thinking of all the things that make your home a comfortable place to spend lockdown. And this is going to be a really important tool for when you're writing your leaflet. So you might want a nice plain piece of A4 paper, or a lined piece of A4 paper to create this on, and then you want to keep it because it's good. You might want to come back to it and add to it. So what sort of things do I mean? They don't have to be glamorous. You might not have a swimming pool and a hot tub in your garden. You might not have a forest at the back of your garden and 7 bedrooms, that you can take turns sleeping in every night, 3 triple bunk beds, and all these different things in your house, a cinema room, whatever it might be. But your house is hopefully a comfortable place to spend lockdown, your home. So what does your home have that you can use to sell it, to persuade people it's a great place? And we can really big it up using emotive language and adjectives. So it might be a TV. Maybe you've got a TV in your home. Lots of people don't. When I was a child of your age, I did not have a TV in my home. My parents decided that we spent too much time watching it and they got rid of it. I'm sure if there was a lockdown when I was your age, they might have changed their mind, but we didn't have a TV. A garden. If you're lucky enough, if you're one of those very, very lucky people to have a garden, that is an enormous perk. That's a huge benefit. You are very, very lucky to have a garden. That's a huge selling point. You might have a balcony. You might have a communal garden. So maybe if you live in a flat with a communal garden, so it might have play equipment, it might have green grass, somewhere you can go outside. A bed of your own. So maybe you've got your very own bed. Maybe it's a special bed. Maybe it's a bunk bed. Maybe it's shaped like something. Maybe it's a specific colour. Maybe it's got special bedding on it. But you've got a bed of your own. Many people all over the world do not have that luxury. So really think about how lucky you are in your home to have these things. A kitchen with a fridge and freezer, or a fridge freezer. Again, there are many people. There might be people living on your street, people living in your neighbourhood who don't have a fridge freezer in their home, who buy food and eat it on that day because they haven't got somewhere to store it. So if you are lucky enough to have a fridge freezer that can store food, it means you don't have to go out to the shop during lockdown every single day. That's an enormous luxury. So think about things, and it doesn't have to be a great big thing. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a swimming pool or, you know, a cinema room. Could be just anything at all. A table for making dens under. Maybe you've done some den making during lockdown. Have you got a really good space for making it? Maybe you've got the behind the sofa. Maybe you've got somewhere in your room. Maybe you've got somewhere in your parents' room, or somewhere that you go to make a den or a reading nook or something like that. A park nearby. Have you got somewhere that you can go and get your exercise and have a run around, play football, ride a bike, do some cartwheels, whatever it is you do? So these are just a few ideas, and these are not specific to any home. Your home might have things that are really specific to it, that you have. Maybe your parents have put a climbing wall in the garden, or a climbing wall up the stairs so that you don't have to use the steps. Maybe they've got climbing grips. Maybe you have got something specific to your home that you really want to talk about. So as many things as you can to talk about. So what you're going to do now is pause the video, but for no more than 10 minutes. So set a timer, 5 to 10 minutes, filling your mind map with as many ideas as you can. You can always add to it later if you think of more ideas, but please don't spend too long on this mind map right now. With all the features that you think somebody might want in their place that they have to spend all this lockdown time. Okay, so pause the video please and spend about 10 minutes doing that. Okay, so now we're back. We're going to look again at this A Forest acronym, and we're going to write at least one sentence or phrase for each of the features. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a sentence. It could be a sentence, it could just be a phrase, it could be just some ideas. You might want to use some of the ideas from your mind map, if you can, to influence your sentences or phrases. Okay, so now have a look at some that I've done, and then your main task for the day is to do this task here. So using this A Forest acronym, you're going to write at least 7 sentences or phrases. You might want to do more than one for each, but you're going to do at least one for each. So at least 7 on there. You could try and do more than one, which would be brilliant. So alliteration. So my idea is this luxury lockdown location is. So it's just a sentence starter idea. It's just a little phrase. It's not a full sentence. Facts. So I've done more than one fact here. I've just come up with a couple. Several large supermarkets within walking distance. The Wi-Fi internet is fast and allows you to stream your favourite movies or stay in close contact with your family and friends in other lockdown dwellings. I've written a whole sentence there. Opinion. That's something I think. And I've written we, as in like the royal we, because it's not me, the person talking, it's me and the leaflet talking, if that makes sense. It makes it sound a bit more like it's not just one random person, but it's an authority speaking. We think it is a wonderful place to spend several months with your closest family. Rhetorical questions, so these are here to engage your reader, to get your reader thinking, oh, what do I think the answer is? What do I think about that? Would you love to spend lockdown in a delightful home like this? And often rhetorical questions are used as headings in leaflets, in persuasive leaflets, to draw your reader in. Emotive language. This is the one I said we'd come back to. So we really want people to feel some sort of emotional response to what we're saying. People who miss out for spending lockdown in this home will never forgive themselves. We're sure that if you pass on the opportunity to spend lockdown in this desirable dwelling, you will despair for decades. Sorry, I've missed a couple of words out. I wrote it quite quickly. We're sure that if you pass on the opportunity to spend lockdown in this desirable dwelling, you will despair for decades. People miss out on spending. Sorry. Statistics. So this is again, they're just numerical facts. So it might involve fractions, percentages, numbers. And I say facts loosely because they don't actually, in this instance, because it's fictional, have to be true. 100% of the current lockdown residents say they have loved spending lockdown here. I've included a quote in that one. 4 out of 5 of the residents have become maybe happier, better, better cooks, whatever it might be. And then the rule of 3. So 3 things: benefiting from a sunny garden, 1, a well-stocked playroom, 2, and views of fields and woodlands, 3. This lockdown setting is sure to provide something for everyone. So you would obviously use 3 things. It might be 3 descriptions. So now it's your turn. For each of these acronym initials. So alliteration, fact, opinion, rhetorical questions, emotive language, statistics, and 3, the rule of 3. And then we will come back again tomorrow once you've done that, and you will have your mind map tomorrow, and you will also have these sentences and phrases tomorrow. Okay, brilliant. Good luck, and I will see you on Wednesday.